Hello, it's a pleasure to have you by my side for this interview. Iratxe García Pérez, you are the leader of the Social Democrats on the European level in the European Parliament. And I will go straight into the subject because we were all shocked to hear of the death of Alexei Navalnîi. And we were wondering what the European Union can do, maybe put more sanctions on Russia. I mean, we all saw the reactions of the European leaders, but is there something more that you can do?
Really, it was a very sadness and tragic news during this weekend. And I want to remember that Alexei Navalnîi was a Sakharov Prize designed by the European Parliament in 2021 as a real figure to defend the democracy and the freedom, our common values in the European Union. It's a tragic news, and what we have to do is to ask to clarify all situation. And really, we as a Social Democrat group will propose for the next week in the plenary session to organize some event. Navalnîi's wives will be in the plenary session next week in Strasbourg. She will be part of our debate, and maybe it will be an important moment for us to define why it's important to defend this figure and why we have to push for more reinforcement at the European level. It's necessary to clarify what happened about it. You spoke about sanctions. You know that we as a European Union we are working a lot during the Ukrainian war to act with these economic sanctions because what is happening in this moment in Ukraine is not only about Ukraine, it's about our common values, about the democracy, about the freedom, and really we have to continue working together. The unity, it's our real reinforcement, and we will continue working on this direction. We can see that the ministers are working in this line, but we as a European Parliament will continue working in this line, united and working to defend our values.
So sanctions are on the table, are being discussed.
Sanctions are on the table about the Ukrainian war, but in any case, this is a line that needs to be discussed, and the Council are continuing working on it and discussing on it.
Do you think that the death of Navalnîi could create opposition in Europe towards Russia, more firm opposition than it already existed, maybe to compel those that are now tired of the war in Ukraine, aren't looking anymore towards the war in Ukraine? Is this a wake-up call?
It's another important flag, of course, and as you mentioned, 2 years later, Ukrainian war started, maybe all what is happening in Ukraine disappear in the public opinion, in our TVs, in our public opinion, but this can be other opportunity to continue working and defending why it's important the European Union act to defend our position, to defend the democracy and to defend Ukraine, of course.
You talk about defense. Will the next European Union be more concentrated on defense, on spending, on a European army that I know has been discussed but not exactly agreed upon? There are many views. We have some concerning remarks made by Donald Trump. We had concerning remarks made even by the Secretary General of NATO, saying that Europe by itself isn't quite capable of defending itself. It doesn't have a very strong army without the support of NATO. So are there plans to make a stronger body of a military body in the European Union?
We have to continue working on it. It's not a new debate. We just to debate and exchange this issue since the last years, and really it's important for the European Union to defend Ukraine and to support with army. This is why we approve new tools to create new instruments for this question, and really the army industry in Europe has to be supported. We are working on it, but in any case, we need to improve and we need to continue working on this line, because we need to defend our projects, our common values, and the defense policy is a key element for us. In any case, we have to discuss how we will do it, because with the current structure, we need to see and to debate with the member states how we will work on this direction.
Do you see more money being pointed towards this issue, towards defense, towards security, more budget allocations in this direction?
That is a clear message for why it's needed a strong budget, a strong European budget. Of course, we need more money, but we need more money for defense, and at the same time we need more money for a social Europe. We need more money to defend our citizens, to support other important initiatives, the cohesion policy, the structural funds, the recovery instrument. Europe needs a strong budget. And a strong budget means that we will put new instruments like this question about defense, of course.
A strong European Union with strong leaders. Of course, after the elections, the leadership of the European Union will be in question. Do you see some positions, important positions in the leadership of the European Union going towards the Eastern Europe, because it hasn't been represented after the 2019 elections?
We insist a lot about this question. It's necessary for the next European elections, and after that, when we can negotiate the top jobs, to find a balance. And we always insist, geographical balance and gender balance. This is a key element, and I'm sure that we as social democrats with other political forces will work on this direction, because it's important for the European Union and it's important for the rest of the countries to feel that they are part of our project, of our common project. And to do that, faces for all geographical areas in the European Union are needed.
What is the ideal profile of the person that you are looking for these top jobs in the European Union?
Pro-European people. Pro-European, in my point of view, of course, as a social democrats, we want a progressive profiles. But what is more important is to keep the pro-European alliance to defend the future of the European Union. Today, we have important challenges. And during the last 5 years, we had to work very hard to defend the European project and to defend why it's important, the European Union, for the citizens. And this is why we are working for the citizens. We started to work with the recovery instrument, with minimum wages, with the social dimension in the European Union, with the sustainable environment and social sustainable. And really, it's important to continue defending this pro-European point of view. And today, the extreme right are a big problem for the EU, and we need, first of all, to explain to the citizens why it's important to defend these pro-European political forces, and we as a progressive want to insist in the social dimension, speaking to the young people, speaking to the women, speaking to the vulnerable people, why it's important social democrats in the European institutions.
I want to develop on that, but first I want to know if there is a certain top job that the social democrats are seeking for the next term. I mean, I saw today the announcement that Ursula von der Leyen made. She is going to enter the race for European Commissioner. Do the social democrats target a certain top job in the European leadership?
We have our leading candidate, our Spitzencandidate, Nicholas Schmid, current Commissioner for Employment and Social Policy. And really, we will work to win these elections, and this is our principal goal. In any case, after the European elections, with the numbers, we will see how can we negotiate with other political forces, with other agencies, pro-European political forces, how we will do the distribution of the top jobs. In any case, it's very early to say. We will work for the campaign. We will work to defend our position in a key and in our topics as a pro-European and as a progressive. And after that, after the European elections, we will negotiate and to see how we will do it with other political forces.
There have been rumors that all the top jobs in the European leadership could be held by women. Do you see that happening?
If this happens, maybe we will find a good balance in the history of the European Union, because we had a lot of fathers, and now we need more mothers to defend the European Union.
Okay, and because you talked about unity, I want to talk about something that's very dear to our hearts, and we were very disappointed that it didn't happen, entering the Schengen Union, and we want to know if you think there are chances that Romania and Bulgaria will be accepted fully in Schengen this year. Are there chances logistically for that to happen?
Yeah, we will work on it, and I have to tell you that during the last 2 years, more or less, we were pushing as a Social Democrats a lot with this question. We discussed in the European Parliament about this question. We tried to convince some of our Prime Minister on these questions, and really it was a very important first signal during the Spanish presidency that Bulgaria and Romania can have the first step. It's not enough, of course, and we will continue working to have a full position with Schengen, and really we can say to the Romanian citizens that the Social Democrats will continue working on it, because it's for justice, because we cannot defend the European Union in two different levels, and the Romanians and Bulgarian citizens need to have the same rights, the same opportunities, and it's so difficult to explain why it's happening this question in the current situation. We will work on it, and I hope that during this year we can conclude with the issue.
It's also an economic issue. We lose money by not being part of Schengen.
Of course. It's for different reasons, economic, justice, and really we will continue trying to convince the Council that it's necessary to adopt the full situation with the Schengen.
You talked about the extremists. There's a wave of extremist parties getting higher and higher in the choices that voters make, in the preference that they have. They will probably be at a record level in the next European Parliament. Studies show it, that they will be form a large group in the next European Parliament, maybe even the third group in size. What can you do to prevent that from happening? What can you tell people that feel disconnected from traditional parties, and how can you resist the influence that they will have in the European Parliament?
Yeah, we will work to prevent this situation, of course. And what is important, first of all, is try to understand why citizens support these political forces, why citizens support the populists and the extreme right. Populists and extreme rights have easy solutions for difficult challenges. And really, it's important to make a lot of work to explain that we can support the needs of the people, and the extreme right, it's a real danger for the European Union. And maybe they will have to explain why they were against, for example, the minimum wages in the European Union, why they are against social policies in the European Union for the people who have more vulnerables. And really, we will work on it, trying to understand why people listen to this message and understand that we have to put on the table real solutions for the citizens. No easy solutions, real solutions.
Do you think the number that they will have in the European Parliament will affect certain policies? I mean, could the balance be changed in the next European Parliament?
I hope that no, really, and we will work on it. Today we are the second largest group in the European Parliament. The Conservatives are the bigger group in the European Union, Liberals, Greens, Left, and the extreme right and populists today have not a real power in the European Parliament. I hope that during the campaign in the different member states we can explain why it's important to defend the pro-European groups and why it's important to defend the European Union, because really the real problem for the European Union is these political forces that today are saying that they have a program for the Europe, but really this is not a question. They have a position to destroy the real common values in the European Union.
This is a prediction of how the next European Parliament could look like, and we can see a shift towards right and extreme right majority. And I would like to talk a bit about specifics. For example, environmental policies. How would they be affected by a more extremist view present in the European Parliament? Ukrainian aid. The European enlargement, which is so important also for Ukraine and for Moldova, our neighbors. So these are key issues that might be put on the back burner or might be diluted. So these are the concerns we have.
Yes, because of course the populists and the extreme right are trying to make positions against this Green Deal, for example, trying to explain to people that this is a danger for their works, for their industry, and what we have to explain is that we can make it compatible the defense of the environment with the defense of our industry, our employment, and we have strong instruments to defend. For example, we, as a social democrats, defend the social fund in the Green Deal to have this support for the more vulnerable sectors. Other important questions about Ukraine, because really the leaders of the extreme right group have alliance with and links with the Putin administrations, and this is not my opinion. We have a reporter who clarify this situation. We will put, for example, the issue about what were happening with the Orban government during the last council, trying to block the aid for Ukraine. And of course, we can speak about the enlargement process, that Ukraine, it's important, but not only. We can speak about the Republic of Moldova or Western Balkans, where we have a strong position to defend this enlargement process, and the extreme right have a very different position, and they will need to explain why they are against this process.
What I wanted to understand is if there are certain collaborations that can happen for certain issues, or keep them completely separate.
For us, as a social democrats, it's a clear red line. We can work in alliance with the pro-European political forces, with the conservatives, with liberals, with Greens, but the populists and the far right never will be part of our alliance. This is a key element for us, and maybe others will have to explain what is their position or not. But we, as a social democrats, can say today very clear that our only red line for the future negotiation it's this alliance with the extreme right.
But you see a collaboration with the EPP, with Renew, with the Greens, as you said, with these pro-European factions to create the majority in the next legislature.
Yeah, we did it. We did it in the last years, we did it in the last terms, and we are open to continue in this cooperation, in this traditional cooperation, because really I think that the European Union can have a guarantee for the future if we have this opportunity to negotiate with the difference, but with the same values, with the same goals. And really we are open to continue with this alliance.